You believe that career advancement depends on competence. It doesn't depend. In practice, whoever rises first is almost never the one who delivers the most. It's the person who understands the game before you even realize there is a game. You do what you're told. Delivery on time. Avoid conflict. It helps everyone. You think consistency will speak for itself. He thinks maturity means not getting involved in politics. He thinks that if he continues to be trustworthy, someone will notice, and sometimes they notice. But not in the way you imagine. They notice that you can handle it. They notice that you solve problems. They notice that you don't threaten anyone. They realize they can depend on you without needing to reward you. This is the detail that almost no one tells you. The corporate environment is not a recognition machine. It's a risk management machine. And within that context, the dishonest person has an advantage that the competent person rarely admits. She understands that work isn't just about producing. It's about influencing perception. It's about controlling the context. It's about appearing important before becoming too replaceable to be promoted. You look at someone who is manipulative and think they are deceiving everyone. Most of the time, it isn't. He's delivering something that the system values more than you'd like. Social legibility, political predictability, strategic alignment, connecting with the right people. The ability to be present where decisions are made. Meanwhile, you remain focused on what seems most correct. Do it well. Be discreet. Wait your turn. But in many environments, this behavior is not seen as strength. It is viewed as a useful tool, and silent utility is an elegant prison, because the helpful person keeps the operation running. But the visible person controls the narrative about who keeps the operation afloat. That's the difference. You're playing the execution game. The deceitful person is playing a game of interpretation. And almost always, whoever controls the interpretation wins over whoever only delivers the execution. It starts subtly. You believe that promotion is a reward for accumulated performance. But in practice, promotions are usually a gamble. A bet on who seems poised to represent the most power. Not necessarily the person who works best, but who causes the least friction for those who are already above them. Those who know how to speak the language of leadership, who built familiarity, those who show up at the right moments, who knows how to associate themselves with success and distance themselves from failure. The deceitful person understands this early on. That's why she doesn't invest energy in the same way you do. She invests attention. Observe who decides. Observe who influences those who decide. Observe who the leadership likes. Observe what is being punished in silence. Notice what is awarded without being announced, and then adapt your behavior. No to work, to power. That's why it seems to progress with less substance, because in order to ascend, substance alone is rarely enough. You might hate this, but the system wasn't designed to reward purity. It was designed to maintain internal stability. And internal stability doesn't always mean justice. It often means hierarchical comfort. Leadership isn't just about promoting those who deliver results. It promotes those who reduce emotional uncertainty, who seems ready, who wouldn't disrupt relationships, who knows how to sell themselves without seeming desperate, someone who has already been symbolically accepted by the right group. That's the uncomfortable part. In the workplace, real value and perceived value are different things, and perceived value is often decided in rooms where your best effort doesn't enter alone. It comes accompanied by reputation, context, for political defense, regarding alliances. A deceitful person understands a different rule that you might not know. Decisions are not made solely based on facts. They are made based on simple narratives. She has leadership qualities. He knows how to position himself. She has presence. He gets around well. She is strategic. Notice how technical these sentences sound, but they are almost never objective. These are impressions, and impressions are shaped socially. This means that in many cases, the professional handler doesn't need to be the best. It just needs to be the easiest to explain, the easiest to justify, the easiest to defend politically. If someone higher up needs to justify why they promoted you, your quiet competence creates a problem. It requires observation. It demands nuance. It takes time. A visible, articulate, and connected person already offers a ready-made story, even if incomplete, even if superficial, even if inflated. It offers convenience. And convenience carries a lot of weight in tired, fast-paced, and political systems. You may have been trained to believe that authenticity is enough. It's enough to be good. All you have to do is yours. But authenticity without strategy, in competitive environments, often becomes naivete with a good moral image. You preserve your conscience, and it loses ground. You avoid the game, and the game still absorbs you nonetheless. Because corporate neutrality is almost never neutral. It's a lack of protection. It's letting others define who you are. The deceitful person rises first because they rarely let their image be revealed. She manages perception. It focuses on projects with high visibility. Connect with people who have political capital. You know when to agree in public. You know when to disagree in private. You know when to appear collaborative. You know when to disappear when you're about to make a mistake. She knows how to share credit without losing prominence. She knows how to appear loyal without being vulnerable. You could call that opportunism, and often it is. But it's also a system read, and the system responds to whoever knows how to read it. Meanwhile, the competent and quiet professional makes a costly mistake, confuses work with merit. But hard work is only one part of perceived merit. The other part is organizational readability. People need to know what to do with you. They need to understand how to fit you into the power map. If you are excellent but invisible, it creates a contradiction. You create value, but you don't create a narrative. And where there is no narrative, someone weaker can occupy the space with their presence. That's why so many people look around and feel outraged. Because you realize that the company is full of mediocre people in high positions. And the common conclusion is, the system is irrational. Not always. Sometimes he's just optimizing for something else. Not for excellence, but for predictability, alliance, and political stability. This does not make the system moral. It just makes the system clearer. And clarity is uncomfortable, because it destroys the fantasy that simply continuing is enough. If you continue down the same path without realizing this dynamic, the cost won't appear all at once. It accumulates. You become too trustworthy to leave the position. The person is too mature to complain, a person too competent to lose, but too invisible to rise. You spend years being essential at the wrong level. It solves problems that increase the team's value, but they do not increase its symbolic value. And symbolic value is what drives promotion. With each cycle, you hear the same words. Your time will come. Keep it up. Your work is very important. We need you here. These phrases seem like recognition, but sometimes they are a form of restraint. It doesn't mean they're preparing you. It means they are stabilizing you. That's how many careers end without it seeming like they've stopped. No conflict. Without rupture, without warning. Only with enough praise will you accept your own stagnation. Meanwhile, the fake person isn't necessarily working less. She simply doesn't waste energy trying to win based on criteria that don't decide the game. She knows that, at the top of most organizations, pure performance almost never arrives intact. It arrives translated, edited, presented, associate, validated by others. That's why a mediocre idea, said by the right person, beats a better idea said by the wrong person. That's why someone superficial seems like an executive. That's why someone who is careful seems operational. The categories are not neutral. They are being built, and once built, they shape destiny. Here is the deepest layer. In the workplace, skill doesn't compete solely with ability. Skill competes with storytelling. If you deliver a lot, but your narrative is supportive, the system will use you as support. If you deliver less, but your narrative is focused on direction, the system may test you on direction. People don't rise solely because of what they do. They rise because of the meaning that the environment attributes to what they do. This meaning does not arise spontaneously. It is socially produced, in conversations where you're not present, in the short summaries about his name, in the emotional memory you leave behind, the feeling of security or threat that their presence generates, based on how easily someone can imagine you above. That's why so many smart professionals end up in prison. They are optimizing for flawlessness. But the system promotes interpretability. You are trying to be irreproachable. The other one is trying to be inevitable. You want to be right. The other person wants to be in a position. And position within power structures often prevails over reason. This realization is unsettling because it changes the way you see yourself. Perhaps you weren't ignored simply because you lacked talent. Perhaps he was overlooked because his talent was presented in the wrong way. Or worse, maybe you haven't even introduced it. Perhaps it had hoped that the system would be curious enough to figure it out on its own. It almost never is. Organizations don't reward what is profound. They reward what is legible under pressure. The mistake wasn't in working well. The mistake was believing that working well was the primary language of the place. In many offices, it isn't. The primary language is coordinated perception, status accepted, visible utility, competence translated into symbols that the hierarchy understands quickly. This doesn't mean turning fake. This is the most common misunderstanding. The alternative to naivete is not complete cynicism, it's lucidity. It's about realizing that silence is not neutrality. Being good is not the same as being seen as perfect. Delivering is not the same as positioning. Stepping back from politics doesn't take you out of it. It only puts you in a weak position. What really works is often less dramatic than it seems. It's not about manipulating everyone. It's about preventing your career from being defined solely by your ability to handle heavier workloads. It's about making your work stand out in the right context. It's about understanding who translates value within the system. It's about realizing that reputation is not vanity. It's infrastructure. It's about not letting your professional identity be reduced to the convenience of others, because without it, your expertise becomes someone else's resource. With that, it starts to become a lever. Ultimately, a deceitful person doesn't rise to the top simply because they deceive. She's rising because she understood before you did that companies aren't just places to work. They are ecosystems of perception. And within those groups, those who control the meaning of their own role rarely remain stuck with the most useful one. This is the part that remains. The problem isn't that you worked too hard. Perhaps he worked to be indispensable in the wrong place. And in the corporate world, being indispensable at the bottom is often exactly what prevents you from rising.